Some people in this world are on the front lines of the struggle between good and evil, and some, like us, bear witness. I'm Therese Apel.
And I'm Nicole Crowell. You may have heard us as we worked on stories and series about law enforcement and crime. And it's safe to say we've seen some of the best and worst of human nature.
We decided there's no greater honor than bringing you the stories of the men and women who seek out the monsters, who speak for the victims, and who put the pieces together on some of the biggest Mississippi crime stories of our time. Welcome to Investigation Homicide. Hey guys, welcome to Investigation Homicide. Today we are doing something a little outside the box. This is not a crime story, nor is it a disaster story. Of course, we are here today doing this because this is the 24th anniversary of 9/11. And of course, for everyone in this room, we all remember where we were, and I'm sure wherever you're sitting, you do too, if you are old enough to remember it. And so we want to talk about the impact of what 9/11 has meant to America, what it's meant to our military. And I am so excited to have my good friend Jordan Jones here. He is a sergeant. Wait, say it right for me. Green Beret sergeant, but also a Special Forces medic.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
So sergeant first class, or was, and Special Forces medical sergeant, which would also equates to Green Beret medic.
Sure.
So
Okay, good. Sometimes there's a lot of designations. And of course, we also have my co-host, Clinton Detective Amanda Johansson.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm the one with no actual title. I'm just me.
Yeah, you're Therese. You're like Cher.
Hopefully not that old and plastic.
No. She's an icon.
Fair enough. Okay, good. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about, 9/11. There is no investigation involved in this. This is just one guy's experience in the military. Jordan, tell us a little bit about how you started off.
so I was in for 20 years. I joined in 2005. Was initially a combat engineer. Did my first deployment to Iraq as that, and then in 2000 and you're testing me, 14, went to Special Forces Assessment and Selection, became a Green Beret, and then finished out the rest of my career there, between being a medic and then towards the very end being a human performance and wellness coordinator within Special Operations.
Now, that's something we're going to come to, because when you say that, I know what you mean because I know you.
Right.
But I'm sure there's a lot of our listeners that are like, that's a lot of words that go together, and you know which words mean what, but you don't know what they mean in context. So
Yeah.
we're going to do that. Talk to me about when you were a kid, did you know you wanted to be military?
I did. So this is cliche or whatever you want to say, but my dad let me watch Rambo: First Blood when I was, I think, 6 or 7.
Right.
And I was like, that's what I need to be. I need to be a Green Beret. It's nothing like being John Rambo, but I did want to do that. And then I think it did, kind of coming back full circle to why we're here today. I think it got solidified with 9/11 occurring. I was a freshman or sophomore in high school, and it's one of those moments where you remember exactly where you were and what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I'd say it probably changed the trajectory of my entire life. I probably would have joined the military anyway, but whether we would have been in a combat zone or not, would have been totally different, I think. Who knows
Absolutely.
what I would have done or not done based on 9/11 happening or not happening. So.
Well, and we were just talking about the reactions of your teenage son and Daniel's teenage son to the news that Charlie Kirk had died, and just kind of that teenage, what do you even call it? Exuberance sounds like the wrong word, because that sounds like a good word. But when you're a teenager, everything is so much bigger and so much more emotional. Talk about kind of what was the reaction when you, as a young man, not even out of school yet, are watching these images?
I guess I can kind of back up a little bit into the day. I was kind of a nerd, I guess, a little bit. So I was in FFA in high school, and I was actually doing forestry. I was on the forestry team. So I'm out in the woods measuring trees and identifying trees. They call everybody back into our high school that morning. And we get in, and everybody's talking about, the Twin Towers have been hit. And honestly, at the time, I was like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't know what the World Trade Center is, Where is it? What's happening? And then the rest of the day, at least half the day before they released us, we watched it on the news live happening. And all I can remember thinking is, we're going to war. That's what this means. We're going to war, and I'm 15 or 16 years old. So I'm probably going to war is what I remember thinking.
Yeah.
So
Amanda, do you remember where you were?
I do. And I actually, it's so funny because I met up with my best friend since 7th grade. We met in 7th grade. We were actually in English class, in Miss Bumgardner's class, 7th grade. And we heard about what happened. And I was very similar to you. I was like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But I remember the reaction of my English teacher. And she was so scared because her husband had been on a flight that day. And so I remember that. I remember her fear. And I think that was the most impactful. And then, of course, we transitioned classes. And I remember going to homeroom, and they wheeled out a TV on a cart, and we sat there and watched it, and I just remember all of the adults who actually knew what was going on just being in panic and fear, and I was like, okay, something bad has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll understand this in a little bit. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. Well, and so we have Jordan is military, you're a cop, and I'm a volunteer firefighter, but still I represent the fireside. Not saying volunteers aren't real, guys, like we are. I just realized the way I said that. But point being, I remember I'm a little bit older than y'all, and I was working at a radio. It was the first radio station I ever worked at in college. And I remember I was sitting in the DJ booth. We had a TV in there, and I remember watching the second plane fly into the tower, and just being like, holy cow, what is happening? And the thing was, at that time, I was just a happy little sorority girl. That's all I wanted. I learned in the time following 9/11, it was the first time I knew what firefighters did besides, they spray water on fire,
Yeah.
And so for me, it changed my trajectory a lot too, because it was like, for the first time, I've always had this thing built in me because of my dad that I knew that I needed to be a hero somehow. And it was there, it just hadn't bloomed yet. And 9/11 was pretty impactful for me as well.
Yeah.
So you get in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Where does it start to, obviously you get in during wartime. Talk to us about what that was like to kind of join, knowing that like I am absolutely stepping almost onto the battlefield immediately.
Oh man, I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I can remember, and I have no idea what basic training's like now or anything. But then so that was 2005, getting to basic training, that's what all the drill sergeants talked about. They had just come back. Most of my drill instructor, drill sergeant, whatever, had just come back. And so they were all combat veterans at this point. And that was almost kind of unheard of for people to start wearing, a patch on their other sleeve, signifying that they had been deployed. And now you had this whole fresh batch coming back saying, you're going to war. As soon as you finish here, you're going to go to AIT, go to whatever follow-on schools, and then you're deploying. This is a real thing. I will say it was a little different for me because I was Guard. I was in the National Guard, Louisiana National Guard to be exact. And so I knew that I may not go anywhere right away, but it was definitely real that we could potentially go. And I think I already knew that because in 2002 or 3, the boys that graduated just ahead of me that were in the Guard actually deployed right then while I was still in high school. So I knew it was a reality going in. I don't think it really resonated. I was pretty naive, which I think most people are. That
Sure.
It sounds like an adventure to a young boy. This sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I can't count how many times I've talked to men and women in the military that'll say, well, people say, well, you knew what you were signing up for. They're like, I thought I did. I did not.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. You don't really, I don't know that it really sank in until my first deployment, that it was real. Cause until it's real, it's just training.
Just games.
Yeah. It's just games. It's like training for a football game, but you don't have any games in the playbook yet. Like nothing's on the calendar yet. And then when you leave for the first time, I think, matter of fact, I know that the very first night I was in Iraq, we got rocketed, And I was like, this is real. This is for
That's
real,
gotta be
real.
scary.
Yeah, I was 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just got there.
Yeah. Yeah. I had just got off the airplane, got in, set my little hooch up and all the things. And I can remember the alarms going off. We run outside. The bunkers, this is kind of funny, not funny. I don't know. It's funny to me now. It wasn't so funny then. I come running out and the bunker is already full. Like everybody else has beat me there because I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
And I'm standing there looking. I'm like, well, I'm just kind of stuck standing here. Like, where do you go or whatever? And you could actually see some of the rockets. You could see the trails coming over the top of us. And then some of it was mortar, some was rockets. And my squad leader was actually standing outside. And this was his second deployment. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what are you worried about, man? I was like, we're getting rocketed.
Right.
And he's like, well, if you've ever seen one of those go off, you're either going to die in that bunker or you can just stand right here and we can just watch it happen. Like, what else are you going to do? It's like, okay. He was like, it's going to be fine. It's like, okay, I guess we're fine. I don't know.
Thank you for the words of encouragement.
So he stood there and smoked a cigarette and I stood there hoping we didn't just draw the short straw and get popped and watched it come in. Yeah.
Now, when that's your first experience on your deployment, what does it do to shape the rest of the deployment?
I remember thinking this is going to be a long 400 days.
Right.
This is not going to be good. And the people that we were replacing, they were still there, and they had some pretty significant injuries. I don't think they lost anybody, but they had a lot of injuries and a lot of issues with IEDs and ambushes and stuff. And I was like, man, this is the first night here. These guys have had a rough time. Seems like they're ramping up for more, and I'm here. I'm just got here. It was my first night there. So,
were you over there during Katrina?
No. I left in 2008.
Okay.
And I was there through 2009, the end of 2009.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So now, that's your first deployment.
Yep.
How many deployments did you go through? What did you go through before you went into the Special Forces?
That was it. I was very blessed after that. I didn't go on any other rotation. I never went to Afghanistan. I think, let's see, so this is kind of off subject, but it's still my career. I did really well at a competition the Army has called the Best Warrior Competition.
Yeah, you might have won it.
Yeah, I did.
Yes, you did.
It started, though, in Iraq on that very first deployment. And I won by default because no one else showed up. And I was training to go to selection. So I had a really good physical fitness score and everything. And they sent me and no one else showed up. They still made me take all the tests and do the things. And they were like, hey, high five, you won. That qualified me for all country or all Iraq, whatever. Mm-hmm. I ended up winning that. And so when we came home from the deployment, that rolled right into the state competition, regionals competition, all guard, all Army. I was second overall on everything, but that turned into my life for several years, probably 2 years right after that deployment.
Sure.
And then through that process, I became an instructor, and that's where I got, the Master Fitness Trainer badge and all those things as being an instructor at the academy there in Louisiana.
And that ultimately comes into what you're doing now in a way.
It kind of does. Yeah, I had no clue. It's really weird looking back, hindsight, how all these little steps get you where you're going and you have no clue. Like,
God does that.
He does.
You think you're just doing a thing and it's God.
It'd be so much easier if you just had faith and trust the process, but that's not ever how it works out. So
It'd be a lot less fun.
Yeah, that's true too. But maybe that's part of the process
exactly.
is it needs to be a little bit rough, right?
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, okay, now when do you, and tell people how it works to become a Green Beret. Do you qualify? Do you, how does that work?
Okay, so I was on, so this is another really weird thing. I was active duty, but National Guard at the same time. They put me on orders to do this competition. And then I was on orders full time for the academy teaching. When I got to the end of that, I think it was a 2-year rotation there. I still hadn't given up the dream to be a Green Beret. It was still kind of haunting me in the back of my mind. And I went and talked to my sergeant major about it. He said, he supported me to go. I went to pre-selection, which is the first little like test. I came over here to Mississippi and went to pre-selection and was passing. And when I got to the very end, this is terrible to say out loud or to bring up again, but I walked away from it. I went and talked to the guy that was running it at the time, and I said, look, man, I'm on active duty orders. If I make this and I transition over here to Mississippi, I'm going to lose my livelihood. I have a family. At the time, we had 2 kids, and I was like, I can't do this. I actually called my wife, and she came and picked me up, and I left, and he was so mad at me. He was like, you can't, he's like, even though you passed everything, you're not allowed to come back for a year.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay. So I get in the car with her. She's super pissed that I left, and then I walked away from it, even though I was passing. She was like, I don't ever want to hear about being a Green Beret again. It's like 100%. You'll never hear it again.
Right.
A year later, I was like,
there you are.
you know, I think I might want to try again. And she didn't stop me. She's super supportive. She's way better than I deserve. She was like, okay, but if we're doing it this time, like, we're going all the way.
I love that you say, she said, if we are doing
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, because it's a we.
100%.
Yeah, and when I talk to new guys, when I was still at the unit, and new guys would come talk to me, I that's one of my first questions is, are you married? Do you have kids? What does that plan look like? Have you thought this through? Or are you just like, I want to be a Green Beret?
Yeah.
This sounds super cool.
Yeah.
Like, what does she think about that? Are you going to burn all bridges and burn your life down just to get this green hat? I mean, and if she's with you, it is value added 100% if she's with you.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you that deeper reason to be successful. I think it did for me. But yeah, I went to pre-selection the second time. It's a 5-day suck fest. That's basically all it is. You do all the testing. Mississippi is really, really good. I'm not just saying that because we're in Mississippi. I'm saying it because it's the truth. They have an excellent pre-screening process for guys. They probably have, I think it's between 90 and 95% success rate that if you can pass the screening here, you will pass the real screening at Fort Bragg. Wow. And, but it's tough. And I went through it, passed it. That was in these dates. 2013.
Give us a spitball.
That was in the end of 2013, I think.
Yeah.
And within a month, I was at Fort Bragg to go to selection, which is selection is a 21-day process. So you go spend 3 weeks there. And this is no secret. There's no secret squirrel stuff to it. It is very, very basic soldier skills. Yeah. Do what you're told to do, when you're told to do it, how you're told to do it, right place, right uniform, all the things. And it's kind of crazy. They don't even talk to you. They write on a whiteboard. Now, you can watch this on, I think it's National Geographic. They have a show called Hell Week or 2 Weeks in Hell, I think is what it's called. It used to be 2 weeks. Now it's 3. But yeah, they write down what you're supposed to do every day on the whiteboard, and you just do it. And so like the first week is called Gate Week. You just do all these physical tests to make sure you're in shape for the Q course. The second week is land navigation. And then the third week is team week. How well do you work with a team with very little instruction? And then you do peer evals, and then you get selected or you don't.
Now, at this point, when you're doing all this, are you a medic yet?
No. And I didn't want to be a medic. Again, a God thing, and me with my own opinion of myself and where I thought I should be. I was a combat engineer in the beginning. I didn't care anything about the master fitness program, but I got put in that spot and did it. And then I went into the Q course after selection, thinking I wanted to be an engineer because I had already had previous experience being an engineer. And my line score said I should be a medic. And they said, well, you're going to try to be a medic. And if you fail, then we'll reclass you and make you an engineer. We'll let you be one then. I just didn't fail. So
yeah,
apparently line scores are really good.
Did you mean to try to fail, or did you?
I did not. I hate failure.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. So like once I get into, I'm so goal oriented, I won't let myself fail. So I made sure I made it through and did everything I needed to do. And actually my wife, again, go back to the we part, was very instrumental in that. You know, I would come home and use my kids or her as patients to run drills on. She would make me breakfast and lunch and then have dinner ready when I came home to make sure that my focus could stay on that. And that's that's what it takes. Like it just does. It takes that. The guys that live in the barracks who aren't married, they have a DFAC. They have a cafeteria style food. So somebody's already planning all their meals for them and everything. So they get to just go eat. Guys that live off away from that with their families, you know, you either do it yourself or you don't get it, or you have a wife like I did that took care of that stuff for me.
And I think it bears saying, Amanda was here a couple weeks ago when we were talking to Charlie Smith outside, one of our other guests that comes fairly regularly. Yeah. And we were talking about how he puts everything back to his wife. He just always says, you know, I had a good wife. She let me do the things I needed to. She was, you know, on my team. We've had several guys that come in here and say that. And, you know, of course, both of us working kind of in a man's world in law enforcement, the high stress stuff, that having a wife that supports you and that's on your team and that's not, you know, that's not really butting heads with you the whole time or trying to control things, it can make or break not just the marriage, but the career. And that said, you often talk about how it's got to be, you know, it's got to be you too. It's got to be the guy, you know, understanding the sacrifices she's making as well. And you guys have found a good spot there.
So, I mean, if we're just being transparent here, she did a great job. I did not. I don't think I understood the load that she was carrying at the time because I was so tunnel visioned. That's a double-edged sword of being successful and putting your head down and making it through those things. The other side is you don't see or pay attention to things around you because you're tunnel visioned. And so I didn't see the load she was carrying as far as like taking care of kids. Cause when we moved up there, we had 3. I didn't see like, I don't know that I took it for granted. I think I appreciated like the meals and stuff like that, but I don't know that I thought about all the back planning she was doing to get me to that point of like going grocery shopping and all the time it took her to make the meals and
the mental load.
Oh yeah. The whole mental load. And then on top of that, her not really knowing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. She never knew. In the Q course, it's a little different. You kind of know when you're going to leave and stuff. But then when I would be gone with training events, it's really hard to talk and get back, like even on a cell phone. I mean, sometimes you don't have your cell phone. When you do have your cell phone, when you're finally done, you just fall asleep. It's like a simple text. Hey, we're finally done. Love you. And I pass out. So like, that's a lot of loneliness on her side of just dealing with, man, at the time our kids were like 6, 4, and 2.
Yeah. Yeah. Amanda, we're women. You know what that
yes,
feels like.
Yes, we are.
You know what that feels like. I mean, just making sure. But that feeling of like middle of the night, you know, like he finally gets back to you and it's two sentences. And you're like, how did it go? How was today? And he's asleep. You know?
I think it's a little different for me because I'm also in the job.
You're also in the job. Yeah.
So I also expect the person that I'm with to understand that if I say, all right, I'm going to bed night, like, don't be mad. Like, that's all you get.
Right.
So I do think it's a little bit different. But yeah, there have been times when I've been with ex-husbands and they're on SWAT call-outs or whatever, and I'm like, I haven't heard from him from like 18 hours.
Right.
Does he even love me?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the mind starts playing
right.
tricks.
He's just taking rocket fire. Does he love
no
me?
No big deal. Yeah. God.
It was good I experienced it though, because it turned into, you know, what we have today. We, you know, I guess if you kind of back up, I went through another deployment to Iraq, almost to the exact same location after the Q course. She was there for that. Came home from that deployment. I was home about 18 months and left again and went to Northwest Africa. Came home from that. And I moved to Mississippi, still on orders, working here. Mm-hmm. Our house wouldn't sell in Louisiana to get her over here because this is right after COVID. And we finally get our house to sell, get her over here. And I think, you know, it was just a lot. That's a lot between the Q course, back-to-back deployments, training events, all jammed inside there. She was smoked.
Sure.
And I don't blame her
at
all.
And honestly, you were probably a little smoked too.
I was.
But it was two different worlds that y'all were living in.
Yep, 100%. And then now take those two different worlds, two different, resentment and all the things that come that we had never sat down and worked through because there was no time. And when there was time, that's not what we were doing. And put us in the same house.
Yeah.
So we worked through that. We're still together. We're doing great. But all of that learning helped guide, where we are now and what we're teaching other people now.
Well, and we're going to come back to that because I have a specific question about that. But so, okay, you can't tell us a lot about the time that you've been a Green Beret because you guys do secret squirrel stuff. Although, is it as secret squirrel as the movies make it sound?
Some of it is secret squirrel.
Yeah.
Some of it is, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not going to ask you to tell us any, obviously, but it's kind of one of those things like I invited you on here and then I was like, I don't know what we can talk about, but we'll find something,
Yeah, we can definitely.
All he's going to say is
things.
that's classified.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. That's
Redact it.
Right.
Redact it. No, I wasn't that secret squirrel. I had a lot of fun on missions and doing things and getting to see the world. It was really cool. Iraq the second time, it was actually, I said this today to somebody. It was exactly the same as on my first trip. I mean, it looked, smelled exact same. No change in 10 years.
Just like walking off the plane 10 years later, same thing.
It was like I never left is how it felt walking back in there. That trip was really, really slow. Not a lot of action or anything. It was a lot of training. The most fun, closest to like real Green Beret stuff I would say I'd ever done was in Africa. It was awesome. It was absolutely phenomenal. Not a lot of combat stuff because obviously we're not at war with any of the countries in Africa. Mm-hmm. But, doing good things for people was a lot of the mission, helping people, training people, and just being good to them. And that was really, really cool. And my team got selected to be, what I mean when I say the closest to a real Green Beret mission. If you go back to like Vietnam, it was living with the people and by with and through the people. In Iraq, I didn't really get to do that or experience that. Yeah. In Africa, I did. Like we were 5-hour bush plane ride out in the middle of nowhere in the country of Niger. Mm-hmm. And we were living with the people, eating off the economy, living their life out there. And that was amazing.
So what does that do for you now? I mean, like now that you're back in America, you're comfortable, everything's what it is. Having had that experience, mm-hmm. Do you see things differently?
I do. It makes it, you take things for granted when you're here, I think. And when you see that people with what we would consider nothing can still have joy and happiness in life, mm-hmm. it's like, man, why are we so not happy? And I what it's done is it's made me be intentional with my kids and sharing that and showing them pictures of where I was and what I saw, the people there, the smiles on their faces, and saying, look, if they're living this way, which we would look down on, but look at that smile. Like they're good people. We have got to find a way to have joy here and quit comparing ourselves to this or that, or wishing we were this or that, or having this or that. And so it's definitely made me slow down with my kids and try to get them to see the world a little bit different and be thankful for where we are and what we have.
Sure. Well, and I think one of the things that when people talk about Green Berets, Special Forces, that kind of thing, mm-hmm. they are not thinking of a picture like that.
No, they're not. They're thinking Call of Duty, or they're thinking, Rambo. I'd say there was a stint of time in mostly in Afghanistan where almost all of the mission was kinetic, which just means like what you think, like firefights and doing missions at night and all the things. I'm not saying that stuff didn't happen in Africa, but it was getting back to the roots of what Green Beret is by, with, and through people. That people are more important than hardware, and I don't. It was just different. Mm-hmm. It's not what you imagine it to be.
When you were there doing that and you thought about what 16-year-old Jordan thought he was going to be doing, Did you laugh at the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you're not kicking indoors and all of the. Even if you do that stuff, you're talking about less than 10% of my career was clearing rooms or doing any kind of shooting or being shot at.
But is there face paint? Did you get to have face paint?
Absolutely,
Okay,
there's
all
face
right,
paint.
okay.
Even when it's not necessary, you put face paint, hand paint, ear paint, all of it. Everything gets
Clearly.
painted. You
I
have
love
to.
it.
You reapply. If you stop, reapply.
Did your wife get to help you, like make sure that contour highlight?
No,
Okay, I'm sorry. That's
no,
probably not the
No,
same.
no.
That's
okay.
the pageant, Amanda.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
my bad. Was it in your color season?
Right?
It's just all green and
Yeah.
black
Yeah,
mostly.
fair enough. So, okay, you get to a certain point in your career where, you're home. And then, and so this is where I don't really know how it works.
Okay.
You're home, you're working here, you're working out of the second 20th, right?
Yeah. 220th.
Yeah. Now tell me about kind of what was going on then and how did it lead you to what you're doing now?
So I was still on a team at the time, which is a weird dynamic of carrying the load of being on a team and then also having these full-time responsibilities, working with the rest of either the rest of the teams or support elements or whatever. That's more office work. The stuff people don't really think about that the Army has to do to keep it running. That's what that looked like. That's when me and my wife were actually trying to do better, and simultaneously it's like, again, God stepping in. I jumped out of a helicopter and landed really bad, hit the back of my head. Ended up in the ER with a concussion. And so when they did the x-ray, they come in, they say, hey, you definitely have a concussion, but in the x-ray, your head looks fine, but when did you break your neck, back area, like have some real issues there? It's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, we're going to do a CT scan. So we go do a CT scan and they're like, yep, you definitely broke some stuff in there at one point. It's healed back all funny. Do you get like left shoulder pains like into your neck and in your head? You get headaches? And I was like, absolutely. And I'm like, well, that's why you should probably never jump out of airplanes again. It's like, okay, well, that's like the wind getting sucked out of me because had become my identity, who I was. It was my career. It was probably what I would consider the pinnacle, or at the time considered the pinnacle of my career, being on an ODA. And then, that wasn't enough. I go back and I talk to my team sergeant and he's like, hey, we'll just hide you. No more jumping out of airplanes, no more doing sketchy stuff as much as possible. Like we'll work around these injuries and these things. I'm like, sweet, because I don't want to give this up yet. Yeah. And that's when my wife is like, hey, you're so freaking hard-headed. You're not walking away from this the way you should. You're not doing the things you should be doing here. Like if you want to be married to the Army and just continue to leave me here, then I guess that's what we need to do. She packed all her stuff sort of ish and moved to the other side of the house for a little while. And again, that's a God thing. She never actually left. I think that's probably the only reason we made it is because we're both Christians and have something deeper that holds us together. And we ended up getting some help working through those issues. And that is when I said, you know what, it's time for me to step away from the team. Well, again, like all of this, like go all the way back to master fitness trainer stuff to this moment in time, all of a sudden I'm like, I'm stepping away from the team. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And they say, hey, we have this new position called Human Performance and Wellness Coordinator.
Right.
Well, you should probably do that. You were a medic. You were a master fitness trainer. At the time, I had considered going back to school to be a counselor. I was like, sure. I mean, I need a job. I need to do this. I'll do that. And it allows me to stay home. Mm-hmm. So 100%, that's what I'm going to do. I get in the spot and I'm like, what is this spot? And everybody's like, I don't know. Like, that's going to be your job, is figure out what is this job and what do we do with it. And I basically started looking at what is most important to the commander and what are some high critical things, and suicide is one of those high critical things. And I just looked at it as like a mission. I'm like, well, let's just go from this problem. Let's build backwards and say, well, how did we end up at this moment or someone makes a really bad decision. What are we doing right now? We're doing a 1-hour lecture on suicide awareness. I was like, well, we're all already aware of suicide and the signs of suicides, but there's guys that are doing these things that nobody would have ever guessed. They never said or did any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get left of that? They're like, okay, well, we have a hotline. It's like, I don't know any of my friends that would call the hotline.
Right.
They're going to call me or call someone else. Let's try to go further back left. I'm like, well, what are the things that cause this? And that's stuff like divorce rates, addiction rates, or alcohol overuse, and burnout rates. I was like, okay, that's something we can probably work with. How do we prevent burnout? How do we keep people healthy, get people healthy, and improve quality and longevity of life? Yeah. And so that's what turned into what I'm doing now. Is I started building that program out for the military. And then I had done a little stint working with RCTA, the Regional Counter Narcotics Training Academy in Meridian. I don't know if they reached to me or if I reached to them initially. I think I reached out because I had some law enforcement friends talking about it. And I said, hey, is this something RCTA would pick up? And they're like, hey, we're actually trying to do some resiliency training. Come over here and show it to me. So I went over there, gave them the brief, showed them the class, and that turned into a thing. Mm-hmm. They're like, we want you to teach this to law enforcement officers. So
and there's God again.
There's God again. Yeah. Yeah, because I already had the contacts at RCTA and I taught T-TRIC, Tactical Combat Casualty Care, for them the first time I worked out there. And I had no idea I was creating this network that was going to come into play in the future. Like so many things that I would have screwed up if it was just me. We were saying that before we started rolling. Like if this was me running this show, I would have long burned this down.
Right.
So I'm glad it's not me.
Well, before we go into kind of what you're doing now with HOLOS, and Amanda's big on the resiliency stuff, as am I. So I think we'll have a good conversation around that. The question I want to ask about you and your wife, and what's her name? Do you know?
Paula.
Okay, you and Paula. During all this, you are Christians.
Yes.
And you're going through the peaks and the valleys of it. Mm-hmm. And when you're saying like it was getting to where it's like, you know, you weren't quite in tune with what she was doing and she's doing all this. And sometimes y'all are living in different places. I was just going to ask, where's God? And I don't mean like he wasn't there. I just mean like clearly he kept y'all together through things that would have made other people walk away.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know how to answer that, I guess. I don't think either of us, I can't speak for her because she's not here, but I know for sure I think God was there. Yeah. I think I was not doing the things I should be doing to stay close to him. And if I would have had my priorities in line as far as like God, then family, even friends before work, because work is just work. That's all it is. Even being a Green Beret, it's just a job at the end of the day. It goes away. I had all of that so out of sorts and so flipped around. I would say yes to the military thinking, you know, this is a sacrifice. It's got to be done. Somebody's got to do it. And so I would say yes, and I would do it and do it really well. I was good at it, but I was completely neglecting the other side of me, the whole other side of my life that actually mattered. That's going to be there when that goes away.
But if you hadn't done that, you wouldn't know how important that is as you've stepped into this part of your life where you're having to kind of mentor people.
I almost had to go through it. So let's go back to Africa for a second.
Yeah.
All right. I had an African guy that was working for me say something, and it has stuck with me since then. He was helping us move some crates, and we had this huge crane brought in. The Nigerians brought it in. We're moving these big boxes around. This guy is standing on top of a box. I'm a medic, so I'm not doing anything, so I don't get hurt. And I'm kind of like standing off to the side watching, trying to like make sure people are somewhat safe. And he's got his hand like on the chain up here, right? And the operator's sitting over here, and he's watching the ground guide, and all the things look right. And I don't know if he accidentally bumps the handle or if he did it on purpose, but he bumps, and the pulley pulls that guy's hand in it, and it rips off his finger as it goes through the pulley. Well, he like instantly goes into just, mad chaos on top of this box. They get the box set down. He gets off the box safe. He starts throwing up, and I feel terrible. I'm like, man, we are out here living with these guys. I asked them to come help us do these things, and now we've ripped off a finger of this guy's hand. I don't know what the implications are of that in the middle of the desert. Like, what does his life look like after this? And I just felt horrible. So I treat him, me and the other medic, we treat him. We take him to his medics, leave medicine and all the things. I come back, and I'm like, man, I got to do something for this guy. So I'm putting together a care box to take him of like snacks and goodies and more meds to keep him somewhat comfortable. And my interpreter, who's going to walk me back over there to the other clinic, he's like, hey, I have a question. Like, I don't understand what you're doing. And I was like, what do you mean you don't understand? Like, we ripped this guy's finger off. And he was like, why are you so upset about it? And I was like, because he doesn't have a finger. Right. And he was like, he says, no. This had to happen. You don't know if this is good or bad. It had to happen. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, you don't know that what was going to happen to him had he not ripped his finger off. Maybe he needed to rip his finger off. It had to happen. And I was like, I have never looked at the world that way before, but now looking back, bring that back to your question or whatever. I mean, I think me and Paula had to have some difficult moments. We had to go through the maturing process. Things could not be perfect because we both had to learn in order. You can only help people to the level you've been to in the whole, right? So you have to experience some of it. I mean, who makes the best therapist for alcoholics? Other alcoholics or recovering alcoholics. That's who makes the best because they understand it.
Yeah.
It's the same with anything. So having lived the life, being devoted to a team, and having some struggles with relationships, all of that, I think, had to happen in order. Maybe it didn't, but it's way easier to help others in that same situation and relate to them based off of that.
Absolutely. Okay, so you're in the middle of all this, and somewhere HOLOS is born.
Yeah.
Tell us what HOLOS is and kind of what has become of it, because it has grown pretty fast.
It has grown, and it's changed. It's evolved rapidly. So it started out as just this slide deck I made, and I went and presented it over at RCTA and was like, hey, you guys like this? Like, yeah, we love it. We want you to teach it. And I was like, well, at first they just said teach it. And I was like, well, you guys just keep the slide deck. No issue there. Like, crush it. You guys get after it. And they're like, no. We want you to teach this.
And this is the wellness and resiliency program.
Yes. So this is looking at, I guess, to say, what is the slide deck? What is the course? The course is educating high-stress professionals on the hazards of the job. Like, just acknowledging the fact that your relationship is probably falling apart. I know that you don't sleep. I know that your diet is trash. Your hormones are probably out of balance. Like, just go down the laundry list of all the things. I know you physically hurt. All these things, right? And then the second half of that class is saying, okay, now that I crushed you with all the things you already knew you felt these ways, now you know the whys, let's do something about it. Here's practical skills that you can implement yourself to start coming back from that. How do you get back healthy? Or if you're a new guy, how do you stay healthy through the career without hitting that burnout point at like year 4 or 5, where you're just like organization hopping, team hopping, whatever it is. That seems to be about the average across the board, is about 5 years in. You're like, screw this place. I hate this place. And you leave. And then you get somewhere else, and 5 years later, you're like, I hate this place. This place sucks. I'm like, maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But maybe we could be the best version of ourselves everywhere we go. And if we can change the culture that we all live in, then maybe people will stay there longer.
Yeah.
They'll do the job longer, and they'll come out the other side healthier than what I did, healthier than I did. But yeah, that's what the slide deck essentially is. And they said, no, we want you to teach it. And I said, okay. So I'll figure that out. I actually accidentally wrote the guide HOLOS,
Yeah.
a guide to operator performance and wellness.
Available on Amazon.
Yeah, it is. And it is exactly that. It is a guide that was built for the class originally. I guess got talked into. They're like, man, a lot of people might benefit from this. Why don't you throw it on Amazon? So I threw it on Amazon, but it's not like, oh, you know what? We're going to the lake for Labor Day weekend. I'm going to read this guide.
Right.
Maybe not for some people. It's in my list.
Yeah, it's not a story of being a Green Beret at all.
Right.
It is the class in book form. I accidentally wrote it, put it with it, and then started developing the class, right? What does that look like? And it went from a 1-day class, which we still have, to now we also offer a 3-day class. So 1-day class is all didactic. It's just PowerPoint and me talking or one of my other instructors talking. And then the 3-day is a deep dive where you actually do the therapies. You actually do cold plunge, and then you do breath work, and then learn about tactical naps, and then learn about physical therapy and how you can do some self-therapy in there. What you smiling about? Tactical naps?
Tactical naps.
You've never heard
amazing.
never heard of a tactical nap?
I would like to sign up for this class immediately.
Yeah, that actually that's a team thing.
Yeah.
I learned that on the teams. There's a thing called GBNT, Green Beret Nap Time, and it was mandatory.
I knew I could have been in the military.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you think our performance is so high?
Right.
It's because we take
explains
naps.
everything.
Do you have those cute little mats like when we were in kindergarten as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. And you got to lay down. You don't have to go sleep, but you got to be real quiet while the rest of us sleep.
Yeah, right.
So still and quiet while you're on your mat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you learn about that. We talk about the benefits of naps. My physical therapist, Nate Kern, he's actually local to here. He does some really amazing things with dry needling and cupping and just all of PT world. Like he's just a wealth of knowledge for that stuff. But yeah, that's what the 3-day is. It's actually doing the things. So you get some of the didactic in there, but then you actually get to participate in it. You get a Garmin watch, and we get to watch your HRV and learn about HRV, sleep data, stress data. What does that all look like, and how to regulate yourself based off what that feedback is giving you. The cool thing about that is for type A personalities and goal-oriented people, if you see a number, you're like, I can beat that number.
Yeah.
And when you start watching your sleep score, you're like, dude, my sleep sucks. I'm getting like a 41. And you start trying and playing around with different things, different bedtimes, trying some different relaxation techniques. And then the main kicker is alcohol. Guys, I can't tell you how many students, these guys reach back out to me and they're like, I've almost quit drinking. I'm like, well, I never told you to quit drinking. I just said, watch it and see what it does to you.
Yeah.
And this is me included myself, you know. They're like, yeah, every time I had a beer, one, my sleep was wrecked.
Right.
And I feel like trash the next day. They're like, especially if I have one, I might as well have 6. So they're like, I just don't drink at all because I want to see my HRV go up. I like seeing that I'm actually hitting REM sleep for the first time in forever. And all these other benefits are coming from sleep. And it's all just because they're watching this number on their watch
Right.
increase. So
I'm not wearing mine today, but I have loved having that because my sleep is terrible.
Yeah.
And the other thing I love is it tells you your body battery.
oh yeah.
And there was one day, I think I put it on Facebook
did.
because I was like, my body battery is down to 5.
Yeah.
And I've still got like 4 more hours. I mean, whatever it was, I just remember being like, I know I'm exhausted, but sometimes it's like you can convince yourself like, God, no, I'm fine. It's going to be fine. But when I looked in, it was like my tracker is telling me that I literally don't have anything left.
Yeah, because
You know?
5's as low as it goes.
Yeah.
Apparently 0's dead.
Yeah.
So
Good. Okay.
so 5, you know, it's like, well,
yeah,
she
it
should
was-
probably take a nap, a micro nap right
I
now.
needed a tactical nap.
A tactical nap.
Right.
So I know that we talked about this right before we came on air, and I know that you have now gotten your class certified where you can receive credits. Is that the 1-day, the 3-day?
That's all of them. Yeah. So
Okay.
that was one of the questions they asked me this morning. They said the board is all in front of me. I was so nervous, and I don't get nervous in front of groups, but I did this morning. And they were like, which one are you trying to accredit? And I was like, honestly, I would like it all to be accredited. But if I had one specific one, it would be the distance learning so that it can be done anywhere. And they ended up, going through the packet and everything, and they accredited all three. So 1 day, 3 day, and then a distance learning platform where you can get continuing education hours online. The cool thing about it is October 1, we'll have 8 hours uploaded. The goal is by the end of 2026, having 40 hours uploaded in there. But what we're doing is just like in the class where it's a call to action to actually do these things. We've got an app that goes along with it that has strength and conditioning, nutrition, physical therapy, and cognitive coaching all under one silo. So you can get all of that from one place inside the app and actually utilize the things that you're getting in the CEs.
Now, who can take this? I mean, clearly we're talking right now about Mississippi law enforcement type situation, but you've told me stories before about like CEOs and, like a physical therapist and whatever that have been affected by some of the things that you're teaching, because it's just about a high stress lifestyle. So for our listeners that feel like I may not be, some kind of first responder, but I have a lot of these things he's talking about. I can't sleep. I'm, all the things, my hormones are bad, that kind of thing. Is this something that civilians can get involved with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you don't care about the CE side of it, you can 100% still get on the website come October 1 and take the classes. We tried to change it up because nobody likes CEs. Nobody likes death by PowerPoint online. So I took all of that into account, saying, one, CEs are tough. And then wellness is a tough sell also. How do we make this as cool as we possibly can?
Face paint.
Face paint. We're going to need a lot of face paint.
Sorry.
No, we did not use face paint. But now on looking back, we might have some
maybe we should.
refilming. We might have to refilm some of this stuff.
Rename the course Tactical Naps and Face Paint.
That's
You're
it.
set. Yeah.
I know.
I'm buying
That's $1
in.
million idea sitting right here. No, we did. We actually do podcasts, like mini educational podcasts. We tried to keep them between 20 and 30 minutes so that you can watch a 20-minute or 30-minute session, and then you can get out if you need to and take a break from it. There is Loom, like it's slide deck, but it's got a little circle of the instructor down the bottom. We use that. And then we also did what's called Talking Head. Is what I was introduced to me, where you're just sitting in front of a camera talking. The first time somebody said, "Hey, you're going to do Talking Head," I was like, "What
is that?
the heck are y'all
That does
talking
not
about, man? You
sound
guys,
like we can hear that.
you can 100."
I was thinking TV guy.
I think that's it's like a weatherman. You're literally just sitting in front of a camera talking.
It's just like a green screen kind of in the background.
No,
like
we staged backgrounds to make it look cool behind
Hmm.
us, but it's literally just standing there talking. So you take those three platforms or different, what else, modalities, or I don't know what you call them.
Sure.
And we broke those all up throughout the class so that every time you watch something, it's a different scene, it's a different instructor. It rotates through a physical therapist, a nutrition coach, a strength and conditioning coach, and then real world guys like myself, or one of our other guys is Jimmy Martin. He was on the SWAT team for forever. Now he's a Green Beret also. It's us talking about real life stuff, and then how did we fix those real life stuffs in like a 20 to 30-minute little segment. And then it's broken up, into hours. So you got 4 hours, that's 4 classes inside that one module, and then 3 classes per 3 little sections per hour.
Yeah,
That's
sounds
a lot.
awesome.
Sorry, trying to
no,
like.
it sounds awesome, and it sounds like y'all have hit all of the, I don't know the words for it, but people learn in different ways. So you have auditory learners, people who learn by reading, people who learn by doing, and so it sounds like y'all are able to kind of encompass that to make sure that each person is getting the most out of their time.
Yeah,
I think that's awesome.
We tried to take it. I saw what worked with my guys inside of Special Forces, and I tried to replicate that as much as possible inside of this because it works. And it if you do these things, it works for you. So like we became a Thorne supplement affiliate, not because we're trying to make just a buku amount of money. We became an affiliate so that we can set our own discount codes inside there. So if you're taking the CEs with us, you get the app, the fitness app with it, but then you also get 20% off of Thorne supplementation, which is, we chose Thorne because SOCOM has deemed them, you know, their purity level and all the things, they meet all the criteria to be a registered supplement company. So we have that. And then we partnered, probably my favorite thing is Core Medical Group. We did a strategic partnership with them. That's hormone replacement therapy. They are awesome people. They do great stuff for military, firefighters, law enforcement, any first responder. So what they'll do is they gauge hormone and vitamin deficiencies based off performance and how you feel. So it's not like willy-nilly bathroom brew stuff. I mean, it's real doctors and all, but they're looking at your lifestyle and what do you need to do and where do your levels need to be to do those things. What I love about them though is they have Core Med Foundation. So if an officer or veteran or whoever gets to the point where it's time to actually make the purchase and go through with it or whatever, and they just can't, like they can't afford it for whatever reason, even they have a significant discount already, but for whatever reason they can't do it, or if you know somebody that can't afford it and you pass them off to the foundation, they'll cover it for them, or at least, you know, offset the cost even more to make sure that they get healthy. The reason that is so important, 70% of suicide victims have low testosterone.
Yeah.
And secondly, you can't do all these other modalities. Like if we're sitting in class and I'm telling you to take your tactical nap and I'm telling you to go ground and do the breath work and get in the gym and eat right, and you're like, dude, I don't feel like doing any of that stuff. If your levels are that messed up and they get you regulated, you'll feel like doing the other stuff that gets you healthy. So I love that. That is that's a really easy place to start. Do your labs, see where you are, start getting balanced out there, and then start applying the other stuff also.
Sure. Amanda, takeaways? Parting thoughts?
Yeah, I think that y'all are doing a great job of kind of filling in the gap of where the military, law enforcement, fire, EMS, where they have failed. So they have taught us how to go to war.
Yeah.
In other countries or when war is brought to U.S. soil, but they are not teaching us how to fight the war at home in our minds or in our relationships. And so y'all are doing that and teaching people how to fight to continue to live their lives outside of the war that they saw overseas or the war that they see on the streets.
No, that's really
huge.
It's really good the way you just said that, and I hadn't thought about it till just now. That's what a Green Beret is. By nature, the history of a Green Beret is teaching others to stand up and fight for themselves physically. That's a really good way to say that.
Did you realize you were doing that again?
No, I did not realize I was just being a Green Beret, continuing to be a Green Beret by teaching people to do their thing.
That's your mission.
To set them free, yeah.
Yeah, that's your mission, and I love that, and you need to continue doing it.
Thank you.
And I should say, as long as I've known you, you've been doing that with other projects too. Like you have always been the guy that kind of seems to be reaching out, trying to help other people, trying to get other people to know themselves better. And that I think is huge.
Thank you.
So I knew that people probably wanted to hear war stories, but I wanted to make sure we talked about that because I feel like for all of us, everybody's life is stressful now. And honestly, for people that listen to this podcast anyway, I feel like there was a time in my life that if you would have said, okay, so you can go take care of yourself and you can figure out how to do it, or you can listen to the stuff this Green Beret says, I would have been like, what's he doing? What are they doing? Like, how do they do it? I want to be a badass. Like, show me how to do this. So I hope that people, will go look this up and maybe figure out how it fits for them because in this phase of my life, I'm learning a lot about this stuff too. And so it is a really important part of our lives to know that we are taking care of ourselves in the ways that God wanted us to.
Yeah.
Not just, I went to the doctor and he wrote me some pills.
No, absolutely. I agree with that. You can't be all that you need to be for everyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. You're going to hit burnout and end up quitting. To kind of circle back on some other stuff you just said too, I tell my kids this, and I try to tell it to everyone, and it's part of the HOLOS thing is there's only two things that really matter in life, and I had to learn this the hard way, is your relationship with God and your relationship with people. Everything you do, if it anchors to those two things, you'll find meaning in it. You'll have more joy in it. It doesn't matter whether the money's there or not, or all these other things that the world wants to tell you. If you can tie your relationship to God is better, your relationship with people is better, there's a deeper gratification there. So I think I try to live that as best I can.
Good deal. Anything else you want us to know that we would know to ask you?
I can't think of anything right now.
Good deal.
Tell
You
us
ask
where
me
to
that
go.
every time.
I do. That's always my closing.
Tell us
question.
where people can go to find out about the continuing education, or like your
Sure.
Facebook, email,
Yeah,
whatever.
the easiest place is I think on Instagram or Facebook. We have a YouTube channel now and TikTok. I don't put much on TikTok, but I have one, or the company has one. And then the only other place would be www.holos.training
Good
is
deal.
the actual website. And you can kind of get anywhere from there if you can get to the website.
And HOLOS is spelled HOLOS.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about that. It just is ancient Greek for whole or complete, the entirety.
Awesome. Good deal. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. We really appreciate your being here. We'll maybe get Jordan to come back and tell us some more stories one day when I figure out what I can ask him. We probably need to have that question off camera at some point, like what stories can I ask you about? But
And maybe there will be face paint.
and maybe there'll be face paint.
Yeah.
So thank you for watching. You can find us on all the podcast platforms. We have merch on our link tree. You can go there and find all the links to the YouTube and the Facebook and the Instagram and the TikTok and all that. If you'd like to sponsor Investigation Homicide, you want your name to be associated with ours, maybe you could even be our title sponsor, just hit us up. And we are so glad to have you here, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good one.